Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, good evening. The polls are closed in Connecticut and the votes are being tallied for local and federal races tonight. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. It's a busy night in America. The race for the White House is down to the wire, and congressional power comes down to who wins tonight in some major party races.
Now let's check in with Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst for a look at where all the races stand right now.
Hi, Brent, Sarah. We've been hanging out here at the board for the majority of the night. Right now, I have the 2024 Electoral College map pulled up. This looks a lot more colorful than last time we saw it earlier tonight before the polls closed. We have a couple things coming in, and what I want to do is go ahead and check some of those swing states and that haven't been called yet and compare them to Connecticut just so you can see a little bit better result totals. I'm going to go ahead and check Connecticut here, as Sarah and Brent mentioned. That called fairly early for Vice President Kamala Harris. Not really a shocker there. I'm also going to check Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin here. The shading here, a little light pink and light blue, as you can see as we just took this full screen. That shows you where the state is leaning. The dark colors mean the state has been officially called. If we go over to key states here, you can see now, I'm going to scroll back up for you. In Connecticut, called for Vice President Harris. Just 14% of the vote total coming in, but already called for her because obviously Connecticut, not very much of a swing state here. She's up by about 31,000 votes. If we scroll down to some of the other states, you can see, especially I'm watching Pennsylvania and Wisconsin here, really big electoral college vote totals that each candidate really wants to grab there. And you can see just how much these are changing and flipping literally as we speak, showing that these are still super, super tight. But obviously we're not just watching the president. We have a lot of races here in the state of Connecticut. So let's go over to the state now. Here's the state just for president. The other race that has been called here in Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy, one of our two state senators, the only one up for re-election this year. Chris Murphy's race was called fairly early. He has 57, almost 58% of the vote there. We heard him speak in the last hour. We're going to have a little bit more from our reporter who's at his victory party. We also have all 5 of our House districts up for re-election tonight, so let's quickly check in on the latest results there. In District 1, incumbent John Larson leading pretty steadily, about 10,000 votes above Republican Jim Griffin. In the 2nd district here, we have incumbent Joe Courtney leading by just about 4,000 votes on Republican Mike France. This actually, right after polls closed at about 8:15, had Mike France up a little bit, but now that we have some more votes in, incumbent Joe Courtney has taken a lead here. In the 3rd district, we have Rosa DeLauro up by quite a lot, 62% of the vote, about 12,000 votes ahead of Democrat Michael Massey. In the 4th district here, a little bit of a similar scene. Incumbent Jim Himes up around 11 votes over Republican Michael Goldstein. And the one everyone is talking about, our tightest race. I haven't looked at this one in a minute. We have Johanna Hayes in the lead right now, but 51 to 48%. Such a tight race here. Only 1,300 votes separate this two. If you remember back in 2022 when they faced off before, just 2,000 votes ended up separating the race when it was finally called a few days after the election. So none of the 5 House districts here have been called. We'll be watching that. The 5th district might be a little while before that is called like it was last time. Sarah, Brent.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah, as she mentioned, that big race we're watching here locally, it's that congressional race in the 5th district.
Yeah, it is the second showdown between Democratic incumbent Johanna Hayes and Republican former state Senator George Logan. The results coming in as we speak, and this is where things stand right now. Emma just showed us these numbers. That one's been flipping back and forth during the evening, and so as Emma just said, it's going to be a little while before we'll see that one called. We have team coverage tonight of our state's biggest races, starting with the fight for the 5th congressional district we just talked about. Fox 61's Matt Caron and Bridget Buorlo are both in Waterbury with the Hayes and Logan campaigns respectively, and we'll begin with the incumbent. Matt?
Well, we're here at the Courtyard Marriott in Waterbury, and just a couple of minutes ago, the crowd roared with cheer when they put up the latest polling numbers on the screen that showed the incumbent Democrat Jahana Hayes leading George Logan by about 10 percentage points. This is expected, however, to come down to the wire. Typically, those big metropolitan areas, the cities like Waterbury, like Danbury, those votes will start to come in first, and then a lot of the rural counties, which tend to vote more conservative, the rural cities and towns, rather, those come in a little bit later. I'm hearing that the candidate herself, Jahana Hayes, is sequestered upstairs. Right now, she is expecting to come out and speak at some point tonight. It's just a matter of where that is. Hayes is from Waterbury. She's a former National Teacher of the Year. She labels herself as a progressive. She's on the Committee on Agriculture and Education. She's married and has 4 children. She has signed 11 bills into law, and she has touted lowering prescription drugs and the price of that and improving care for veterans. It's also worth noting that this is a race that has national implications. A lot of big political action committees and donors from Washington, D.C. and all over the country have pumped a lot of big money into this race. It's why you saw a lot of commercials on television and on social media and all over. So it's a race we're going to continue to watch. It's the 5th district, so it's the most purple one in the state. It always comes down to the wire, and we're going to count each vote as it comes in and keep you updated here from the Courtyard Marriott in Waterbury. Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, thank you, Matt. Yeah, really loud there. I don't think you can really hear much of us. But on the other side of the race, Republican opponent George Logan is looking to end Connecticut's long streak of Democratic representation in the House.
Yeah, of course, this is a rematch of the last election, as we just said. Fox 61's Bridget Bjorlo is live in New Britain now with more from the Logan campaign.
Good evening, Brent and Sarah. We've called a lot of races for you tonight, but here in Congressional District 5, it is still up in the air because, as you heard Emma reporting the numbers, there's a 1,300 vote separation between the candidates. It's very reminiscent to where we were in 2022 when Jahana Hayes and George Logan were separated by around a 2,000 vote margin, giving Jahana the ultimate victory. But it was so close that it forced a recount. We didn't know the results till 2 days later, Thursday morning. And notably, I'm not at a watch party tonight because George Logan said he's not having one because he does not expect to have a result tonight. He thinks it's going to be tomorrow or even the following day. But I do want to show you just the enthusiasm that we saw here in New Britain. Take a look at your screen. This is a video we shot earlier in the night. This was around 8:20 at night. Now, this is what's interesting about it. Polls, as we know, closed at 8 p.m. And here are all these people still lined up in New Britain trying to cast their ballots. It really speaks to the energy in the room. Not only people wanting to make their voices heard for the historic presidential election, but also at the local level here in District 5. So we talked with people all over the political spectrum about how they feel about this race. We talked to Logan supporters, Hayes supporters. A lot of them say that their minds were made up long ago, but this is what they had to say about why they ultimately decided the way they did. Take a listen.
I supported him 2 years ago, and he came within 1% of winning. It was a really tight race. But I don't support Jahana Hayes because she's just too much of a party person. She votes with her party 99% of the time. She hasn't done anything about the education problem in Waterbury. She hasn't done anything about the open borders. She hasn't done anything about the inflation. And it's time for a change.
I do like her as a person and for what she stands for, so I did vote for her today. And you never know what's the right decision until later on, so hopefully it was the right choice.
So you heard from a couple of voters there. Now, George Logan, who we spoke to earlier in the night, is pitching himself as a change agent. He said that his opponent, Jahana Hayes, she voted with the Biden-Harris administration 99% of the time. And Connecticut, the people here are looking for something new. And he says he would bring a fresh perspective. And he says, don't be so afraid that I'm Republican. He says that if he were to be sent to Washington, something that hasn't been done in Connecticut for the past 18 years, he said if that were to happen, he would bring an independent mentality. He said his allegiance allegiance would be with the state of Connecticut first and foremost and their interests, not with the party. He wouldn't just automatically vote party line. So that was an interesting perspective that voters are considering. But again, we are still waiting for the outcome to be tallied. It keeps flipping back and forth between who the leader is. We're around 13% of the vote count right now, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on it as we determine who is the winner of District 5 here in Connecticut. We are reporting live for you tonight in New Britain. I am Bridget Buorlo, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Bridget, thank you. And one of the few things that we can say for absolute certain about today's election is that the weather didn't keep anybody away.
That is for sure. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. I know he said it yesterday. It's so cheesy, but the polls were heating up today.
No,
Brett.
seriously.
Because it was so warm.
Getting started. It's going to be even hotter tomorrow. We're talking about record challenging warmth, but that does bring with it some issues. The combination of warm temperatures and also gusty winds tomorrow mean that we have an even higher risk for brush fires than we have the last few days. So a red flag warning is in effect starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and continuing through 6 p.m. That means any outdoor fires can catch or spread really quickly. So no outdoor burning. And this is what we should be doing anyway at all times, but properly disposing of any smoking materials. Otherwise, the big story is the warmth. We're looking at highs tomorrow climbing into the 70s to near 80 degrees. Wow. Overnight lows stay mild. We're near 60 degrees as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. And look at these temperatures as we head through the afternoon. Mid 70s for the New Haven area, near 80 degrees in Wallingford, Guilford at 74 degrees, near 70 degrees in Mystic and Stonington, and highs near 80 for Manchester and mid 70s in Burlington. We'll talk about when we might be able to get some rain coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, just minutes after the polls closed here in Connecticut, it was made official. Senator Chris Murphy was declared the winner of his race, earning a third term.
Murphy had several candidates vying for his seat in the U.S. Senate. The votes are still being tallied at this hour, but the Associated Press is projecting another term in office for Chris Murphy.
Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot is live tonight at Duncan Park in Hartford, where Senator Murphy spoke following his re-election. Kay?
Senator Chris Murphy will serve in the Senate for a third term. He said he's proud of what he and his team have accomplished so far, and he's excited to continue serving all of Connecticut.
You know, anybody that chose to cast a vote today for Matt Corey, I'm your senator. I want to hear from you. I'm going to continue to do the work that I've been doing over the last few years to bring Republicans and Democrats together around really tough issues.
Senator Murphy is proud of his team here and in D.C., and he's thankful for the support of his family. He says he feels optimistic and hopeful and confident for the future of this country. Live in Hartford, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Kay, thank you. And as for Senator Murphy's opponent, we heard from Matthew Corey this evening and, of course, his campaign expressing disappointment at the outcome of this election.
Fox 61's Kayla Cade is live in East Hartford with the Corey campaign.
Matthew Corey says he got into this race because he cares about Connecticut and about the direction of our country. Corey hosted a watch party in East Hartford where all of his supporters came to watch the election results. He says there are policies coming out of Washington, D.C. that are not working for the economy, and they just want to see a change. If he was elected, he said he would bring back solutions that are going to help the state and country move forward. Corey says regardless of the results, he gave Connecticut a voice and gave it his best shot.
Coming from somebody that's a blue-collar, small business owner, understanding the economy, understanding how people are really hurting around Connecticut, just know that I was there for you and did the best I could, no matter what the outcome is.
This is Corey's second race against Senator Murphy. He ran against him in 2018 in East Hartford. Kayla Cade, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Kayla, thank you. And as the results are tallied, we're crunching the numbers too. Text the word results to the phone number there on your screen, 860-527-6161. And it'll send you a link to fox61.com where you can find the latest results in Connecticut, including your hometown and your district. Again, text the word results to 860-527-6161.